Hello, yogis. Hope you're all doing well and staying healthy and safe. For today's practice, I do have a chair and a couple pillows and a belt. So if you'd like to pause the video and get those items, those props, go ahead and do so. And then let's start our practice on our backs. So we start our practice in the same way that we end our practice, in our most comfortable position of Shavasana. If you have any lower back concerns, you can draw the knees together with those feet as wide as the mat. The lower back feels good. You can extend those legs long, separate the feet wider than the hips, and just allow the feet to kind of flop open. And you can close the eyes or have a soft gaze down. We'll have the arms down by the sides with the palms facing up. Let's see if you can kind of wiggle those shoulders more towards the hips and away from the ears. And then let's start to find our Ujjayi breath here. Breathing in and out through the nose, if that feels comfortable. Feeling the breath in and out of the lower belly region. And then add that soft sound to your breath, the music to our practice, the music to your movement. And if you do find that the mind's wandering around a lot, you can make your breath even louder so it can really capture and hold the attention of the mind. And as you feel your body relax, just notice any parts of the body that might feel different. Make note of those parts that might require some modification or skipping. And always feel free to modify or skip anything that doesn't feel good. Take as many breaks as you like, go at your own pace, and do what feels good to your body. And then notice, lastly, if you are carrying any tension, might be in the shoulders coming up. You can imagine that I'm gently pressing them down, or might even be in the back of the neck. And remember to use props anytime that you feel would make your practice, your body more comfortable. And then enjoy this last moment, this last round of breath of relaxation. We'll bring this feeling into the rest of our practice as we start to slowly bend those knees, slide the feet onto your mat. We'll start with that gentle sway of the knees right and left, just to a point that feels comfortable to you. Maybe you're holding in one spot for a round of breath and then moving and going and doing the same on the other side, or maybe it's constant, slow moving. Even when we're moving, it's an opportunity to kind of see how the body's doing and make adjustments to those areas as needed. Let's draw the knees back to center, and you can step the feet a little bit wider than the hips and have the knees the same distance apart as the feet, almost like a bridge pose. We're just going to work on feeling our lower core work. So let's place our hands right below the navel. And you'll feel those muscles there. So let's start to tense those muscles without changing the position of the body. So we're just tensing those muscles right underneath the hands. Just nice, easy tension so you can start to feel them work. And then go ahead and release. So not a lot of movement here. Let's take an inhale and then exhale, tense those areas. Feel that squeeze right underneath your hand, those lower abdominals, and then release. Let's do that 2 more times. Take an inhale, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. And one last time. Exhale, squeeze. And inhale, release. And then using those muscles, let's start to draw the knee into the chest. And then the other knee into the chest. And with a hand lightly on each knee, let's start to draw those knees forward and back. Just a few times. And then draw those knees together and let's open the knees and then close them. And just a few times there. So the feet are kind of following the knees, finding what feels comfortable, what feels good. And then let's start to circle those knees in opposite direction. So you start to feel the entire hip and change the direction of your hip circles or your knee circles. And then let's extend those legs up to the ceiling. Let's warm up through the feet and the ankles by pointing the feet, and then drawing those toes back towards you a few times. Even wiggle the toes, crack the knuckles if that feels good. Stretch the soles of the feet, and then let's start to turn the feet in opposite direction of each other, and then change the direction of your foot circles, feeling those ankles work. And then let's press those heels up or a little bit further away from you so you can feel a stretch along the back of the legs as you take an inhale, and then exhale, hug those knees in. If it feels good to pick the hips off of the mat, you can, but find what works good for your body. Inhale, stretch those legs, feel the power of the thighs, and then exhale. You can use your hands to draw those knees in. Let's do 3 more rounds on the breath. Inhale to stretch, and then exhale, hug. Twice more, finding that Ujjayi breath, and then one last time, and then draw it in. Let's place the feet down onto our mat. Let's find our feet in our bridge pose. So feet and knees hip bone distance. Feet are about 1 hand length away from your bottom, plus or minus for comfort. And then let's draw those arms up, either up to the ceiling, or if it feels comfortable, up over the head, and just get a nice stretch for the chest. And then slowly draw those arms back down by the sides. So we'll press the palms to face down into the mat and doing a few pelvic tilts from our bridge pose. So find neutral position in the spine, that little bit of space between your lower back and the mat. And we'll take an inhale here. And as you exhale, squeeze those muscles right underneath your navel so that you can flatten the lower back into the mat. So we're trying to use just those muscles to flatten the lower back into the mat and not the muscles of the legs. And then go ahead and release, find neutral position in the spine. If you'd like, you can even place your hands right underneath your navel. This is a reminder, and so that you can feel those muscles squeeze. Take an inhale. And then exhale, squeeze those muscles, and then flatten the lower back into the mat. It's a little backward tilt of the pelvis. Inhale is to release neutral. And then exhale, squeeze and flatten the lower back, just very gently into the mat. And then let's do a few more rounds. Follow your rhythm of the breath. And feel that not just the muscles underneath the navel, but also you'll start to feel some work a little bit higher, and even the side waist. The muscles along the side waist can get involved too. One last time. And then let's find neutral position in the spine. And then let's draw one leg so it's in a tabletop position. So the shin is about parallel to the floor. And then we'll just do a few more pulses like that, with the pelvic tilts, with the engagement of the lower belly. Inhale here, and then exhale, squeeze the lower abdominal muscles, flatten the lower back into the mat, and then release. So not a lot of movement in that lifted leg. Inhale, exhale, squeeze, flatten the lower back, and then inhale, release one last time, and then exhale, squeeze. And then release, neutral spine. Move to the other side. So draw the other shin so it's about parallel to the floor. You can relax through the foot if you'd like. Inhale, exhale, squeeze and flatten the lower back into the mat. Inhale, relax, neutral spine. Exhale, squeeze. And then one more time. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, squeeze. And then set that foot down, find neutral position in the spine, arms down by the side. Now let's come into our bridge pose. So we'll start with that engagement of the lower belly to flatten the lower back into the mat, and then press into the heels to lift the hips any amount that is comfortable for your bridge. And we're going to hold here. So it doesn't have to be too high. Think of directing the tailbone to the backs of the knees, that little tuck of the tailbone underneath. Sometimes we don't use our lower abdominals as much as we should, and so we want to make sure that we focus on strengthening them. Let's slowly roll it down the spine, still finding that backward tilt of the pelvis. Feel the squeeze of those muscles right underneath the navel, just so we can slowly roll it down the spine, one vertebra at a time. Tailbone is the last to reach the mat. And then let's draw both knees into that tabletop position. You can draw the knees and the inner thighs together. And then you can draw even the legs as close or as far away from you as is comfortable to find neutral position in the spine. Start to feel the engagement of the core, especially the further you draw your legs away. We'll take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, activate those muscles underneath the navel, Flatten the lower back into the mat, feel the work of the core, and then inhale, come back. So not a lot of movement with the legs. And then exhale, squeeze, really feel those muscles work. Inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, relax. And then 2 more times. Remember, if you need to take a break, feel free to do so. You can hug those knees into the chest. Last time, squeeze. And then relax and carefully set those feet back down onto your mat. Let's come into our second bridge. So as you're ready, squeeze those muscles, flatten the lower back into the mat, and then press into the heels. Lift those hips as high as is comfortable. You're welcome to stay here in stillness. If you want some movement, some warming up through the arms, you could inhale to lift just the arms, any amount up, and then exhale, float them back down. And then 2 more rounds of breath. Find that backward tilt of the pelvis so the tailbone is starting to point towards the back of the knees or even kind of up to the ceiling. Last round of breath, and then release arms back down. This time let's lift the heels and then engaging through those muscles underneath the navel, roll it down the spine. Feel kind of a nice lengthening stretch to the lower back. And then when you get there, let's hug those knees into the chest. Whatever movement feels good before we come up to a seated position on our mat. So you can kind of freestyle it to make your body feel good. And then as you're ready, gently roll onto one side. And we'll carefully press our way up. Head coming up last. Taking as much time as you need to get comfortable. And come to a comfortable seated position. My hips are feeling a little tight today, so you can use a block if you have them, but today I'm just going to use a pillow. I'm going to use a pillow. I'm just going to slide it underneath my hips so that I can feel kind of just that extra little lift, extra little release as I cross my legs, but you are welcome to have your legs extended out or even knees bent. And then let's take a moment here. Let's find the palms together at our heart center. We are still sitting up tall, but see if you can bring that essence of our opening Shavasana into your mind, into your body, into your heart. And if you'd like to set an intention or a dedication for your practice, go ahead and do so at this time. Let's open the eyes if they're closed. Namaste. Great to see you all and practice with you again. Let's inhale to circle those arms out and up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Remember to adjust for your shoulders. Inhale, arms out and up or forward. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more time. Deep breath in and then deep breath out. Let's change the crossing of the legs. Place the hands gently on the thighs. And then let's just move into a few spinal circles. Feeling a nice stretch, a nice warm up for the lower back. And you're also welcome to stay in one spot if it feels good to stretch. So just depending on how your body's doing, the time of the day, change the direction of your circles. So we do normally have class in the mornings. Our physical class was in the mornings. But if you are doing this video in the evenings and are looking for something more relaxing, you can go at a slower pace. You can take extra stretches. So just listen to your body and also make that adjustment for the time of the day that you're practicing. And then let's come to sit up tall. I'm going to remove this pillow from underneath. So if you do have something underneath your hips, go ahead and remove it. And then let's come into a seated position with the legs, with the knees bent and the feet flat onto the floor. And we're kind of leaning it back. So let's turn either the fingertips away from you, or you can draw the fingertips towards you, whatever's most comfortable on the wrists. And then let's start to open up the chest. So let's lift the chest. So you're kind of leaning back into your hands. Draw the shoulders back. Little arch in the spine if that feels comfortable. Take an inhale, kind of a different version of our seated cow pose. And then as you exhale, engage through the belly, those muscles that we just worked underneath the navel, and then kind of relax round through the spine. And you can bend those elbows and feel free to adjust the hands wider apart if you need them, at least shoulder width distance apart. So inhale, come into your seated cow pose. Start to straighten the arms, not locking out the joints. And then exhale, engage through the belly, round through the spine. And then let's move a few more rounds on the rhythm of the breath. And if you need to walk your feet out a little bit more, you can. So we are doing our cow cat. So working predominantly on the torso. So find your legs in whatever comfortable position feels good. And then one last time. And then round. And then let's walk ourselves back to sitting upright, coming into boat pose. So let's draw the feet and the knees together. But if it is more comfortable, you can have a space between your feet. Just have a space, same distance between the knees as is between the feet. Let's sit up tall. We'll start with the shoulders over the hips, engage through the core. Neutral position in the spine. So just as if you're standing up tall, imagine there's a wall behind you and you're trying to get the back of the head to touch the wall without lifting or lowering the chin. So just neutral position in the spine. Let's start with the fingertips or the hands behind the thighs. Inhale to sit up tall, and then exhale, hinge it back, maintaining a strong flat back. And you don't have to go too far, just any amount. It could just be a couple inches where you feel that engagement of the lower belly working. So really feel those muscles working. Doesn't take a lot. So even just a couple inches back, take another inhale. And then as you exhale, you can pull yourself up. And if your knees are together, you can separate the knees and kind of just round forward. You can drape your arms around the outer knees, just coming to a little relaxed position. And then let's start to lift up again. So if your feet are together and you find that the knees are having a problem staying together, you can separate the feet a little bit, or you can even place your block or your pillow between the thighs. So if you don't have one handy, that's fine. It's just an extra little support, little bonus here. So if you do have a pillow or a block between the inner thighs, just a gentle squeeze. So we're activating through the inner thighs. And then we'll inhale to sit up tall. Exhale, hinge it back. Find where it works best for you. Where you're keeping that long spine, shoulders draw back. Really engage through those lower belly muscles. You'll feel the rest of the core work as well to help support and stabilize the spine. And if you'd like to add a little bit more, maybe the arms extend forward. Take another breath here. And then let's pull ourselves back up, and we'll sit it back into child's pose. Widen those knees a little bit wider than the hips, and then release down. And if you do have a pillow, if you find that there's some distance between your bottom and your heels, you can slide a pillow, a couple pillows right in between the heels and the legs, and then see if that version feels good. So you feel a little bit more support. But if you can easily reach the hips to the heels, you're welcome to. Just relax all the way down. Find what feels good. And remember to take a child's pose at any time throughout your practice. And then let's slowly come on back up. Find our way back to our tabletop pose and draw the shoulders back. Let's come into our side plank. So you can kind of swivel that right lower leg a little bit off of the mat for balance, and then start to straighten the left leg, turn the left toes to the left, and see if you can flatten the sole of the foot as best as you can into the mat. And then adjust the right hand so it's underneath the shoulder. Draw the shoulders back. And maybe you're staying here. If you want a little bit more, maybe you're starting to extend the left arm up or by the ear. Melt the shoulders down. And then pull those hips underneath you and breathe here. Taking a moment, feeling the stretch of the left sideways, little side bend for the spine, and then slowly come back down. Remember to adjust the position of the arms and the shoulders to suit your needs. And let's move over to the other side. I'll give you the back view. So swivel this lower left leg out for balance. Extend the right leg. Turn the toes to the right. See if you can flatten the sole of the right foot into the mat. Adjust the left hand so it's underneath the shoulder and draw the shoulders back, maybe staying here. If you are going to lift that right arm up, pull those hips underneath you. So really feel that you're getting that left hip on top of the left knee, and then maybe you're lifting the arm, or maybe you're extending the right arm by the ear. So move the shoulders back. You can have a soft bend in that bottom elbow, and then pull those hips so they're underneath you. Breathe here, and then let's slowly release it down. Take a moment in child's pose. And then let's rise on up and move into our inversions. So puppy pose, where you have your hips right atop the knees and start to walk those arms forward, relaxing forward. You can even slide a pillow or a block underneath your forehead. Feel that lengthening of the spine, maybe a little arch in the spine. This is a nice pose to open up through the chest, the shoulders, and kind of open up through the spine too, to help reduce some rounding that we might have in our bodies. If you'd like a little bit more, let's come into downward facing dog. And you can do that by walking the hands just a couple inches forward of the shoulders. Curl the toes under, lift those knees, draw the shoulders to the hips, and then press it back. And then if you'd like to add some movement, you can. Still thinking about getting that nice length for the spine. So we'll be here for a few more moments at any time. If you'd like to take a break, you can sit back into child's pose for as long as feels good, and then come back up. So it's up to you, however many times you'd like to come into your inversion, but skipping is always an option. And you can just have a moving inversion if you're in your downward facing dog, or finding stillness. Just keep thinking about the position of the shoulders, drawing back away from the ears. Start to find that the elbows are kind of moving more down towards the floor as opposed to out to the side, and really feel the shoulders are moving to the hips, but the head is moving towards the hands. So there's lots of stretch, lots of space for the neck. I'm going to release down and just take a moment in child's pose, maybe even stretch out my wrists. For this last inversion for me, I'm going to show you an option if you do have any sensitivities for your wrists, but feel free to come into puppy pose or standard downward facing dog. If you do have sensitivities for the wrists, another option is dolphin pose. It requires a little bit more strength. So let's come from tabletop pose. Go ahead and relax onto your forearms. And for this, let's not place anything underneath our forearms. We want to make sure that everything is strong and stable. You can interlace your fingers if you'd like, so you can really press the hands into the mat. Start with the elbows a little bit narrower than the shoulders, because the elbows will naturally splay out. But same thing, draw the shoulders back, lots of space for the neck. And then it's basically downward facing dog, but on our forearms. So you'll curl the toes under, lift the hips, and then press it back. Bend those knees as much as you need to. And the head will be floating. So we don't want to rest the head down. That can strain the neck. So the head will be floating. And you can see if you can kind of relax the head down so you get a nice stretch for the neck. Still thinking about pressing those hips back and up, lengthening through the spine. A lot more strength work required, but it's a really good stretch and really good strength building for the upper back, and then slowly release. That's an option if you do have any concerns with the wrists, and you'll feel it in the muscles of the upper back. All right, let's come up to a forward fold at the top of the mat. You can pass through downward facing dog one more time, and then start to slowly step the feet to the top of the mat, or come in an appropriate and safe position movement for your body. And then when you get there, let's bend those knees, slowly roll it on up. Allow to feel that stretch along the back of the neck, the back of the body. And then when you get to the top, after you've adjusted your clothes if needed, let's upright the head. Let's inhale to circle those arms out and up, and then exhale, hands to the heart. Let's come into a half sun salute. So inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, soft bend in the knees, dive it into your forward fold. Remember, the depth is up to you. You can stay relatively high. If it is okay on your body to go lower, you can release lower as long as your hands or on your legs or the floor. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulders draw back, nice strong flat back. Work those legs. Exhale back into your fold. And then let's rise all the way up. Strong flat back, bent knees, arms out and up. And exhale, hands to the heart. So when we do rise up, you have the choice of rising up with a strong flat back, with a bend in those knees and really press into the heels so you can feel the legs work. Core is strong, rising with the flat back. If you'd prefer to roll on up through the spine, same thing, bent knees, and engage through the core and roll it on up. Hands can walk up the legs for support and really feel that squeeze of the core, the front abdominal muscles, so that we protect the back, and the back just gets a nice stretch as we come back to upright. So your choice. Let's do one more half sun salute. Inhale, arms out or forward and up, and then exhale, soft bend in the knees. Dive it into your forward fold, using your hands on your legs for support. Inhale, halfway lift. Try to find a strong flat back. Exhale, release. This time I'm going to roll up the spine, but you're welcome to come up with a flat back. So I'm going to bend my knees even more, engage strongly through the belly, and I'm even going to use my hands onto my thighs so I feel supported as I come up, and I'll draw the arms out and up, and then exhale, hands to the heart. Let's keep our right foot where it is at the top of the mat, and let's come into our warrior one base. So step the left foot back. Left toes angled to the outside of the top left corner of their mat. Bend the right knee to stack and track, and then freeze it there. Really strong in the left leg, strong in the left foot. Feel the outer edge of the left foot press into the mat. And then when you're ready, arms forward or forward and up, and then melt the shoulders down. So strong in the core, even those muscles right underneath the navel that we worked so hard earlier. We'll take an inhale, and then as you exhale, your humble warrior. So either just hinging forward, maybe about 45 degrees. If it is okay on your body to go deeper, really use the core. So use that strong abdominal muscles on the front of the body so we're protecting the lower back. And then inhale, press into the right heel, squeeze that outer right hip so we rise on up, warrior one, and then exhale, your humble warrior, moving nice and slowly, drawing the arms back. Inhale, rise back up, warrior one, and then exhale, humble warrior. And then let's rise on up. Take an inhale, and then exhale, make your way back to the top of the mat. And when we step back to the top of the mat, another opportunity for balance, so take your time to get there. And let's move over to the other side. Right foot steps back. Make sure you're checking your feet. Right toes angled to the outside of the top right corner of your mat. Bend the left knee, stack it atop the ankle, track it towards the center of the toes, and then freeze it there. Stack, track, and freeze. Strong in that right leg. And then when you're ready, draw those arms forward or up. Find your comfortable position with the arms, but pull those shoulders down. Remember, you can widen the hands if you need a little bit more space for the shoulders. Take an inhale. As you exhale, your humble warrior. So that hinge forward, maintaining that strong flat back. Inhale, come back up. And then exhale, your humble warrior. Or you can go a little bit deeper. So you're rounding a little bit through the spine, but you're engaging strongly through those frontal abdominals. And then we're protecting the spine as we lift back up. One last time, your choice. So it's very similar to whether you'd like to rise it with a flat back or roll up the spine. Engage those strong core muscles to help support the spine. And then let's go ahead and step it forward, taking a moment here, maybe finding the balance, and then come back to mountain pose. Let's step the feet a little bit closer together. Let's come into tree pose early in our practice to balance. So kind of just seeing how the balance is doing for today. So from our mountain pose, standing tall, and then let's lift one heel. We'll open that knee out and place the heel on the inside of the ankle. Maybe we're just going to start here and then find the position of the arms that works best for you. Enjoying those wiggles, kind of waking them up, warming up the ankles as well. And then release down over to the other side. Opposite heel lifts. Open up the knee just so you can place the heel on the inside of the ankle. Hips stay pointing forward. And then the position of the arms is up to you. Maybe they're out, maybe they're up. Make sure you're not locking out any joints. And then let's slowly release it on down. Let's come back to the top of the mat. If you're not already there, let's come into chair pose. So either feet together or feet hip bone distance apart. Inhale, chair. Take a moment here. So we always like to take our first venture into a pose. Take those moments here to make sure that your knees aren't going past the toes. You can see all 10 toes. You're engaging through even that lower part of the belly. That will help to melt the tailbone down so that we're lengthening through that lower spine. So don't forget about those muscles that we focused on earlier. Take an inhale in chair pose and then exhale, stand up tall. Inhale, chair. And then exhale, stand up tall. One more time, inhale, chair, draw all those hips back behind you. And then exhale, stand tall, squeeze those leg muscles. All right, let's come and bring our chair onto our mat. So grab your chair and bring it onto your mat so it is very stable onto your mat. Make sure that it doesn't slide or move around too much when you put your hand on it. And then let's do a few poses with the support of the chair. So let's draw those arms forward or out and up, and then exhale, soft bend in the knees, come into your forward fold. Hands onto the chair. Let's step the left foot back, coming into a runner's lunge with the hands onto the chair. And you're welcome to come up a little bit higher if you need to. So let's extend that left leg back. And you can come into a little bit deeper of a runner's lunge if that feels good. So you really get a stretch along the back of the left leg. Draw the shoulders back and then engage through those legs. It's almost as if without moving your feet, you're trying to draw the legs towards each other. So you feel that action in the thighs, the inner legs as well, really engaging through those legs, making those legs work. And you'll notice that I have a relatively flat back and I'm engaging through the core and those lower belly muscles to support the neutral position of the spine. And from here we'll come into a twist. So let's start with placing the right hand onto the thigh. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, we're twisting just the shoulders and the chest and a little of the rib cage. So imagine that, and you can even place your hand on your outer left rib cage to assist the gentle turning of the rib cage to the right. And we don't want the hips to move, so lower half of the body stays really strong and still, and we're assisting a little bit of a turn of the rib cage to the right. And then when you find your mild sensation of a twist, you can either keep your right hand down onto the right thigh, pressing into the right leg for support, or if you'd like, you can extend the right arm up. Move the shoulders down. Keep hugging that outer right hip in so the hips don't sway off to the right. Lower half of the body stays really strong. And then let's slowly unwind. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, let's go ahead and step back to behind the chair. You can move your hands to the top of the chair, or you can leave them on the seat of the chair, your choice. Let's move over to the other side. Right leg steps way back, as far as back as is comfortable. Make sure those feet are hip width distance or wider, and start to release. Right heel down. Bend the left knee to stack track and then freeze it there. Find a strong flat back. Remember, you can come up higher if you need to. And then with those feet where they are, energized through the legs. So if you're trying to draw those feet towards each other, and then let's come into that twist. So we'll take an inhale. And then as you exhale, maybe your hand is on the left thigh to assist the twist. Maybe you're taking your left hand to the outer right ribs to very gently, so we're not pulling it into a twist, kind of just little reminder, a little, come on, let's go for a little twist over to the left. And then when you get there, when you have that there set, hips stay even. Place the left hand onto your left thigh, or maybe start to extend the left arm up. Noticing if how the shoulder feels. Find a position where the joints stay happy. Strong in those legs. Make sure that left hip doesn't go off to the side. Left thigh stays parallel to the long edge of the mat. And then let's take it down. Whew. Take a breath here. Really nice stretch for that right leg, the back leg. And then let's step it forward. And then let's roll it on up. And turn around, and let's have a seat in our chair. So the temperatures have been warm, so please monitor your energy Take as many breaks as you need and get water if you need it as well. Let's come into a seated, supported forward fold where you'll separate your feet a little bit wider than the hips. And then maybe your forearms are on the thighs. If it is okay on your body to go lower, if you're sliding your hands down, but feel the outer ribs being supported by the thighs. So we're not completely just hanging down. We have the support of our legs for the upper half of the body. And then if it feels good, maybe you're dropping the chin down, or maybe you're just having the head in neutral position, whatever feels good. And then just get a nice little stretch along the back of the body. And let's just take one more round of breath here. Let's slide those hands onto our thighs and then draw the elbows in, draw the shoulders back. We're going to roll up the spine, but we're going to use the strength of our arms to do so, but still engage through the core. So tighten up through the core, those frontal abdominals, and then press into the hands, keeping those elbows alongside the body. So we're working those triceps, and then you can slowly roll up the spine or even rise with a flat back, as long as the arms are doing all the work and the core is engaged. All right. Let's come back up to a standing position. Let's come into our Warrior 2 series. So let's start by standing behind the chair. Inhale, arms forward or out and up, and I've used this as a reset. And then exhale, soft bend in those knees as come into a forward fold with the hands onto the chair or to the top of the chair if you need a little bit more height. So just depending on how you feel. Let's step the feet a little bit closer together and coming into Warrior 2. So start to step your left foot back. And as you step your left foot back, let's start to turn those hips over to the left. So start to bend the right knee, stack, track, and freeze it. Melt the left heel down. Pull those hips underneath you so the right thigh stays as parallel to the long edge of the mat as you can. And then when you're ready, you can press your way up, use the chair to push your way up, or engage strongly through the core so you can rise on up, and then turn the shoulders and the chest over to the left side of the mat and find your Warrior 2 base. And then one little point about this back foot. Sometimes we forget the toes. We want to make sure that those back toes draw in a little bit. And how much they should draw in, we can do a little test with the hips. So take your hands to the outside of the hip bones. And then notice that the hips are kind of pointing at an angle. So they're not completely perpendicular to the long edge of the mat. They're kind of pointing out to an angle. And we're making sure that that front knee stays right where it is, over the ankle, and tracking towards the center of the toes. So the hips start to turn more towards the top edge of the mat. And so that angle that you find with the hips, you want to match that angle with that back foot. That's just for good joint health, to keep those joints nice and safe. So find your Warrior 2, and then let's open out the arms and pull the shoulders down. And we'll breathe here. Let's flip the right palm, reverse warrior, take an inhale. Stay here for the exhale. Now let's do one more round of breath. Get a nice side bend, nice side stretch, still bending the right knee to stack and track, melting those shoulders down. And then let's come back, Warrior 2. Let's shift a little bit forward for side angle pose. Hand can be onto the thigh, or you can reach your fingertips to the chair, and then opposite arm up or over the ear, or just resting alongside the body. So whatever feels good for your shoulders, and also whatever feels good for what type of practice you'd like to have. It is pretty warm out, so if you need a little something more relaxing, maybe just keep the limbs down so you can conserve your energy. And then let's press into those fingertips so we can rise back up. Warrior 2, and then release the arms down. Heel toe that left foot a little bit closer to the right. Let's come into a little balance work, our half moon pose with the chair. So start to transfer the weight into your right leg. And then let's place the hand down onto the top of the chair. And then maybe you're staying here. We're lifting the left heel, left toes can stay down, and maybe you're extending the left arm out, up, or just leave it alongside the body. If you want a little bit more, with a soft bend in that right knee, we'll start to slowly maybe lift the toes. And then enjoy those wiggles in the standing ankle, building lots of strength in that standing leg. And then maybe making sure that you're not pressing so much weight into that right hand. And then softly release it down. Whew. Let's keep that right foot where it is and come into triangle pose with the assistance of the chair. So both legs relatively straight. Remember, draw those left toes in just slightly to match the angle of the hips. Let's extend those arms out and pull the shoulders down. So we'll do 3 pulses to come into triangle pose. Draw those hips back, reach as far over the chair as you can, and then come back. So just kind of opening up through the hips, forming them up. Let's do that 2 more times. Hips draw back towards the back edge of the mat. You're reaching towards the front. Feel the work of the top sideways, and then come back. And then last time, hips draw back, arms draw, right arm draws forward, and then release either onto the top of the chair. You can even move the chair if you need to, or on the seat of the chair. And then the position of the top arm is up to you, maybe up to the ceiling, maybe up over the ear, or maybe keeping it alongside the body, thinking about drawing those hips underneath you, open up through the chest. Maybe the gaze is up, or maybe it's forward. Maybe it's down, whatever feels good. Last round of breath here. Wherever feels good. And then to come out, soft bend through the right knee, and then use your right hand press to assist you to come back to warrior 2. And then release the arms down. Okay, let's move over to the other side. So from mountain pose behind the chair, let's inhale, arms out and up. And then exhale, release it down. Hands onto the chair. Step the feet a little bit closer together. Left leg will be our lead leg. So let's start to slowly step the left foot back, heel to arch alignment. Step the right foot back. Start to bend the left knee, stack, track, and freeze it. And then we'll start to turn those hips to the right as you settle the right heel down. So find your legs in your warrior 2 stance. Pull those hips underneath you, and then you can use the chair to assist you as you rise on up, or you can strong through the core and circle your way up to your choice. And then relax into your warrior 2 position. And then that little check with that back foot. You can take your hands to the outer hips, find the angle that the hips are pointing, and try to match as best as you can that back foot to the hips. And then let's open it up and settle the shoulders down. So coming into warrior 2, always checking the alignment. Find your Ujjayi breath. And then let's flip the left palm, reach it up and back, reverse your warrior, nice easy side stretch. Staying here for just another full round of breath. And then let's come back to warrior 2, that little shift towards the chair, and then hand onto the thigh or onto the chair, and then your position for this top arm. Maybe up by the ear, maybe up to the ceiling, maybe down by the sides, pull the shoulders down. And then notice if your bottom is kind of drifting back behind you, pull it in. So you're really using all the muscles of the outer and inner legs and feeling the strength of side angle pose. And then let's slowly take that arm back down and start to heel toe that right foot a little bit forward. Take your hand to the top of the chair, coming into our half moon pose. And then when you're ready, stand up tall in your left leg. And maybe lift the right heel and keep the right toes down. Staying here, finding a nice position with the arms. Maybe if you want a little bit more challenge, you'll lift the right foot completely off and breathe here. Taking a few rounds of Ujjayi breath here. Maybe playing with the balance a little bit or not. So finding what works best for you, building strength in that standing leg. And then let's slowly reach those right toes back and softly, gently come up to an upright position. We'll keep the left foot where it is. And remember to draw those right toes in. For triangle pose, we'll pulse 3 times and then settle into triangle. Open up the arms. As the hips draw back, we'll reach the left arm, kind of sliding it as far over the chair as you can, and then use the core to come back. So we'll pulse again. Hips draw back, arm in the opposite direction as the hips. front arm in the opposite direction as the hips, and then come back. And then one more, hips draw back, arms reach forward, arm reach forward, reaches forward, and then place the hand down onto the chair. And then the top arm, wherever feels good on your body. The head can turn wherever feels good on your body. Breathe here. Use the strength of the legs, the sideways. And then to come out, we'll bend through the left knee. Engage through the core to rise back. Warrior two. And then release arms down. Let's come into another supported seated forward fold. Have a seat in your chair. Separate those feet wider than the hips, and let's round through the spine, forearms onto the thighs. If it is okay to release deeper, you can, as long as you feel the support of the legs. Maybe drop the head down. And then slide those hands onto the thighs, elbows in, core engage, roll it on up or rise with flat back. Whatever feels good. And then when you get to an upright position, let's come back to a standing position, facing the chair. Let's come into pyramid pose, starting to move more towards our stretches. So for pyramid pose, let's start with the feet pretty close to the chair, and right foot stays where it is, left foot steps back. Just maybe a couple feet or even less, depending on how open you are in the back of the legs. So right foot, right toes point forward, left toes point to the left, a little bit of an angle. Heels are hip bone distance apart. Take an inhale, maybe hands on the hips. As you exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Engage through those thighs, and then hands can come onto the chair for support. Relatively flat back, relatively straight legs until you feel your mild sensation. So mild sensation only, and it is up to you how deep of a pyramid you'd like to go. It should be a pleasant stretching sensation only, one that you can keep for several minutes, even though we will not be here for several minutes. Keep those hips even, so notice if they're twisting, and then breathing here. One more deep round of breath, feeling a nice stretch along the back of the right leg. And you'll even feel a stretch on the back of the left lower leg. And then to come out, have a soft bend in those knees, engage through the core, hands onto the top of the chair. Let's rise with that flat back. And then over to the other side. Heels about hip bone distance apart, both legs relatively straight. Right toes angled to the top right corner of your mat. Take an inhale, hands can be on the hips to make sure those hips don't twist. And then exhale, hinge forward. And then find the depth of your pyramid pose, noticing that the sides of the body are different. So really moving slowly to find what works best for your body. Try to maintain a strong flat back. Resist the urge of the hips twisting. So draw those hips to point forward. And then you can have a soft bend in those knees. And then finding your mild sensation of a stretch. And breathing here. Still finding your Ujjayi breath. One last round of breath here. Should feel good. And then soft bend in those knees, hands onto the top of the chair. Let's rise with a flat back. Okay. And then I'm going to face you. We're going to use the chair to do a little stretch for the thighs. So for this one, you may want to have your belt handy, and you may even want to have a pillow onto your chair. This is just for comfort. If you don't have these items, that's fine. You don't absolutely need them. And then I'm going to stand to one side of the chair. So the leg that is closest to the chair, I'm going to hold the chair for support. I'm going to very gently place onto the top of the chair. So I have a pillow there for comfort for my knee. And then I'm going to stand tall. And you might even need a pillow to, just depending on your chair, if you need a little bit more height. So we're going to work just on getting a stretch through the thighs and the hip flexor. So if you feel a stretch in this leg that is closest to the chair, or that's on the chair in the thigh, then you're welcome to stay here. Take a few rounds of breath here and enjoy the stretch. Make sure you're not overarching through the lower spine. We're still strong in the core because we're standing, and we want to strengthen or engage through the core to protect the spine. If you want a little bit more, there's a few options. You can kind of move that knee that's on the chair a little bit further back. So it is not in line. It's a little bit further back from the standing knee. So you'll get a deeper stretch, but just find that mild sensation of a stretch. Some of you are pretty open in your quads and hip flexors. If it is easy to draw your heel towards the buttock and you can catch your foot, you can go ahead and do so as long as you're not twisting. We want to make sure those shoulders point forward. If the foot's a little bit far and you do have a belt handy, you can use the belt around the foot and then just very gently draw it towards your bottom. So find what works best for you. Make sure the knee is comfortable. If the joint has any discomfort in any way, feel free to skip. And then we'll just take a few more moments here. So use the props if you need to. Keep those shoulders pointing forward and just look for that mild sensation of a stretch. Find that Ujjayi breath. And then let's slowly release. Shake it out if you need to. Let's walk over to the other side. With the hand onto the chair for support very carefully. Place the knee onto the chair. You can start with the knees in line with each other and just standing tall. And if you feel an easy, mild sensation here, stay here. If you want a little bit more, you can step the knee a little bit further back or that standing foot a little bit forward. So the knee on the chair is behind the standing knee. And then take a few moments here. If you want even more, and if it is okay and easy for you to get into the position, start to draw the heel towards the buttock, reach to get the foot, or you can use a strap if you want. And then that can increase the stretch. That can deepen the stretch for your mild sensation of a stretch. And we'll just take another few moments here. And then when you're ready, slowly release. And then we'll shake it out. Okay, let's now come to a seated position on your mat right in front of the chair. And I will meet you there. Let's come into a supported butterfly position. So we'll draw the soles of the feet together, slowly start to widen the knees. And you're welcome to sit as far back from your feet as is comfortable. And if it doesn't feel so great on the knees, feel free to skip. You can even just draw the feet flat onto the floor, wider than the chair. So find what works best for you. And then you can draw the chair towards you. You can have a pillow if you'd like. And then relax forward. So just depending on how open your inner legs are, will determine how far back you are from the chair. And just take a couple rounds of breath here. And if you do have lots of pillows available to you, you can even slide a pillow underneath those outer knees, kind of get as comfortable as you can. And still find your Ujjayi breath. And you might notice that after a few rounds of breath, you can go deeper into the stretch, but always just find what works best for your body. And then let's slowly come back up. Use your hands to draw the outer knees up towards the ceiling. And then let's kind of walk our feet off to one side. Scoot your bottom a little bit closer to the chair. And then gently roll onto your back. And let's place the feet onto the chair. Maybe you have a pillow there for extra support. Let's come in to thread the needle. Let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh above the knee, flex through the foot. And then maybe stay here, or you can start to walk your left foot closer towards you, keeping it onto the chair. And then we're just relaxing those arms down by the sides. Or you can have your right hand kind of as a little support on your inner right leg to keep that right knee from coming in too close. And if this doesn't feel good on the knee, you can always just draw the knee into the chest or skip. So our thread the needle pose, feeling the body start to slow down. And then let's slowly release over to the other side. Left ankle crosses over the right thigh above the knee. Try to get the ankle bone to the outside of the leg. Flex through the left foot. Maybe just stay here relaxing, or you can start to draw the leg a little bit closer towards you and maybe using that left hand to the inner left leg as a little support reminder to keep that left knee from coming in too close to the chest. Notice if you're carrying any tension. See if you can relax it. All right, and then let's slowly release. Let's place the feet to the outside of the chair and just come into this little twist. Draw the legs over to one side, mini twist, and then over to the other side. And then maybe just a couple more times. If the chair is a little bit in your way, then you can just rest the leg gently against the chair. And then we'll slowly draw the knees into the chest, give them a little squeeze. Maybe it's a happy baby pose. And whatever other stretches or movements you'd like to make. And then when you're ready, release. Let's come into Shavasana. So you do have the chair if you'd like. You can place the legs on the chair, kind of scooch over towards the chair. If you'd like more traditional Shavasana, you can scoot yourself away from the chair and relax those legs to the outside of the chair. And then wherever you are, arms down by the sides, palms up, fingers relaxed. Let's take a deep breath in. And then exhale. Out the mouth. And while you're in your Shavasana, I will play the sound of wind chimes. And enjoy these next few minutes of your Shavasana. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Sense a movement into your fingers, into your toes. And on the next inhale, you can stretch the arms either up to the ceiling or over your head. And then as you exhale, return those arms down by the sides and just being very careful with the chair. Let's slowly roll onto one side and release those feet from the chair. Coming into fetal pose, just taking a moment here. And then as you're ready, slowly press your way up to a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. And when you get there, let's stack the hands atop our heart and take a moment to feel gratitude to yourself for coming to your practice or for anyone else in your life that you are grateful for. Let's draw the palms together at our heart. Take a moment, recall that intention or dedication that you set at the beginning of your practice. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. As always, it is a privilege and a joy. Namaste. Oh, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Be healthy, be safe, and we'll see you next time.